I could barely breathe as Mom drove me to Jefferson Memorial Hospital. Each bump in the road sent waves of pain through my chest. My name is Sophia, and at 15, I became an expert at hiding pain. But this time was different. This time, even I couldn't hide the damage Tom, my stepdad, had done. "Remember what we talked about?" Mom whispered, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. "You fell down the stairs while carrying your laundry basket. That's all. We can't afford any questions, Sophie. Tom's medical insurance covers all of us." I nodded slightly, trying not to move my chest. The stair story was becoming our family's greatest hit, played on repeat every few months when Tom's anger got the better of him. But stairs don't leave perfect boot-shaped bruises, and they don't target the same spots Tom did when he was teaching me respect. The emergency room was quiet for a Tuesday night. Mom filled out the paperwork while I sat carefully still, counting my breaths like I'd learned to do. Shallow inhale. 1, 2. Careful exhale. 1, 2. Don't cry. Don't show pain. Don't tell. Sophia Anderson, a nurse, called, looking up from her clipboard. "Come with me, honey." Mom jumped up immediately. "I'm coming too." She's just a bit shaken from her fall. The nurse, whose name tag read Linda, led us to an examination room. She had kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. As she took my vital signs, I noticed her watching me, really watching me in a way that made me nervous. "Can you tell me what happened?" Linda asked, her pen poised over the chart. Before I could speak, Mom jumped in. "She fell down the stairs carrying laundry. Just a silly accident." Linda's eyes never left my face. "Sophia, I need to check your ribs. Can you lift your shirt for me?" I hesitated, knowing what she'd see. The fresh bruises from today mixed with older ones in various stages of healing. Mom stepped forward as if to stop the examination, but Linda's firm look made her step back. As I lifted my shirt, Linda's sharp intake of breath was the only sound in the room. The bruises painted a map of violence across my torso. Boot marks clear as day, fingerprints on my arms, and the distinctive shape of a belt buckle on my back. "These aren't from stairs," Linda said quietly, her fingers gently probing my ribs. When I winced, she nodded to herself. "We need x-rays." "Now, is that really necessary?" Mom protested weakly. "She's just bruised." "Mrs. Anderson, your daughter has difficulty breathing and significant bruising," Linda replied. "X-rays are non-negotiable." The radiology department was one floor up. As they positioned me for the chest x-rays, I caught sight of myself in the machine's reflective surface. I looked small and broken, like a bird that had flown into a window too many times. "Stay very still," the technician instructed, stepping behind the protective barrier. The machine hummed to life, its mechanical eye seeing through skin and muscle to the truth beneath. I closed my eyes, thinking about how Tom had laughed earlier when I crumpled to the floor. "Get up," he'd said. "Stop being dramatic." But I couldn't get up. Not this time. The pain was too intense, breathing too difficult. For once, even Mom had looked scared. Back in the examination room, we waited for the results. Mom kept checking her phone, probably getting angry texts from Tom wondering where we were. She told him we were going grocery shopping, another lie in our house of lies. Dr. Sarah Chin walked in, her face serious as she clipped several x-rays to the light box on the wall. "Mrs. Anderson, Sophia, we need to discuss these results." She pointed to the images, her finger tracing white lines across my rib cage. "These are your current fractures," she said, indicating 2 clear breaks. Then her finger moved to other, fainter lines. "And these are previously healed fractures." I count 7 distinct breaks in various stages of healing, some potentially months or years old. Mom's face went pale. "That's impossible. She's just clumsy. She falls." "Mrs. Anderson," Dr. Chin interrupted, her voice firm but gentle, "these injuries are not consistent with falls. The pattern and placement indicate repeated trauma, intentional trauma." I stared at the x-rays, at the story they told in stark black and white. No amount of lies could explain away what the machine had seen. My secrets were exposed, written in broken bones and healing fractures. I'm legally required to report this, Dr. Chin continued, reaching for her phone. I've already contacted our hospital social worker and we'll need to speak with the police. No. Mom stood up, panic in her eyes. You don't understand. We can't. Tom will. Tom? Dr. Chen's eyes narrowed, making a note. Your husband? In that moment, watching Mom struggle between protecting her husband and protecting her daughter, I made a decision. For 3 years, I'd kept their secrets, swallowed their lies, hidden their truth. But the X-ray machine had given me something I'd never had before: proof. Yes, I said, my voice stronger than I expected. Tom did this. All of it. The next few hours became a whirlwind of activity. Police officers arrived, speaking in hushed tones with Dr. Chen, while a social worker named Ms. Martinez sat with me. Mom paced the small room like a caged animal, alternating between pleading looks at me and frantic texts to Tom. Your X-rays tell a story, Ms. Martinez said gently, showing me a detailed report. Each fracture has a timeline. We can match them to specific incidents. Would you like to tell me about them? I stared at the dates listed on the report. March 15th, 3 broken ribs when Tom found out I joined the school drama club without permission. July 8th, fractured collarbone for coming home 10 minutes late. December 24th, 2 cracked ribs. Christmas Eve, when I accidentally dropped his favorite coffee mug. He said no one would believe me. I whispered, touching the paper where my broken bones were documented in clinical detail. He said I had no proof. You have proof now, Ms. Martinez assured me. The X-rays don't lie. A commotion outside the room drew our attention. Tom's voice boomed down the hospital corridor, charm turned up to maximum. I'm looking for my stepdaughter, Sophia Anderson. My wife called about an accident. Mom rushed to the door, but 2 police officers blocked her path. Through the small window, I could see Tom's familiar figure, still wearing his work suit, his face a mask of concerned parenthood. Sir, one officer said, we need you to come with us. Tom's facade cracked slightly. What's this about? My daughter had a fall. I'm here to take her home. Dr. Chen stepped forward, holding my X-rays. Mr. Anderson, these images show a pattern of abuse spanning approximately 3 years. Would you care to explain the boot-shaped bruises on your stepdaughter's ribs? The change in Tom's expression was instant. The charm vanished, replaced by something dark and familiar, the face I'd seen countless times before pain exploded in my body. This is ridiculous, he snarled. She's clumsy. Always has been. Sarah, tell them. Mom stood frozen, looking between Tom and the X-rays Dr. Chen held. I could see the moment reality finally broke through her protective shell of denial. 7 healing fractures, Mom whispered, mostly to herself. 7 times you, and I let you, Mrs. Anderson. Officer Reynolds said quietly, we found the belt in your home. The buckle matches the marks on your daughter's back perfectly. Your husband is under arrest. As they led Tom away in handcuffs, he kept his eyes locked on me through the window. You'll regret this, he mouthed silently. But for the first time, his threats felt empty. He couldn't hurt what the X-rays had already exposed. Dr. Chen supervised as a nurse wrapped my ribs carefully. You'll need to follow up with our orthopedic specialists, she explained. And, Sophia, we're also referring you to Dr. Patel, one of our best trauma counselors. What happens now? I asked Ms. Martinez, watching Mom sink into a chair, her face buried in her hands. You'll need a safe place to stay while we investigate, she replied. Is there family you can go to? I thought of my Aunt Kate, Mom's sister, who Tom had forbidden us from seeing 2 years ago. My aunt. She lives 2 hours away. Ms. Martinez nodded, already dialing. We'll contact her. In the meantime, you'll stay in our pediatric ward. You need rest and monitoring for those ribs anyway. Later that night, in the quiet hospital room, Mom finally broke her silence. I didn't want to see it, she admitted, her voice raw. Every time you got hurt, I made excuses, told myself it couldn't be what it looked like. I failed you, Sophie. You were afraid too, I said, understanding for the first time that Mom had been just as trapped as I was, just in different ways. Fear isn't an excuse, she replied firmly. I'm your mother. I should have protected you. But I promise you this, I'll never fail you again. The room's TV was playing quietly in the background when breaking news interrupted the regular program. My stomach dropped as I saw Tom's face on the screen. Local businessman Thomas Anderson was arrested today on charges of child abuse, the reporter announced. Sources say medical evidence, specifically X-ray images, revealed a long-term pattern of physical abuse. Mom quickly turned off the TV, but I stopped her. No, I said. Let it play. Everyone should see who he really is. The night nurse brought me pain medication and a small pudding cup. As she checked my vitals, she smiled warmly. You know what we call X-rays in the medical field? Truth tellers. Because bones don't lie, and they never forget. I looked down at my wrapped ribs, thinking about all the secrets they'd kept and finally revealed. Tom had been right about one thing. Nobody would have believed just my word against his. But he'd forgotten that the truth has a way of coming to light, sometimes through the most unexpected means. My ribs ached with each breath, but each pain reminded me I was free. The X-ray machine had seen what everyone else had missed, and its silent testimony had finally given me a voice. 6 months later, I sat in a courthouse, my ribs fully healed but my memories still sharp. The prosecutor had built a strong case around my X-rays, which now hung on large displays for the jury to see. Each image told its own story. Each healed fracture was a testament to survival. Aunt Kate sat beside me, her hand steady on my shoulder. After that night in the hospital, she'd taken both Mom and me in, helping us rebuild our lives piece by piece. Her home had become our sanctuary, a place where sudden movements didn't make me flinch and where closed doors stayed unlocked. The evidence before you, the prosecutor addressed the jury, shows not just one incident of abuse, but a calculated pattern spanning years. The X-rays tell us what this child couldn't, a story of systematic violence hidden behind closed doors. Tom sat at the defense table, his expensive suit unable to hide how jail had diminished him. He tried to claim the injuries were from my reckless behavior and attention-seeking stunts. But the medical experts had thoroughly demolished those lies. Dr. Chin testified about the night everything changed, her voice clear and professional. The pattern of injuries was inconsistent with accidental trauma. The boot marks on her ribs matched the defendant's work boots exactly. Most telling were the historical fractures, each one documented in the X-rays like chapters in a book of abuse. Mom's testimony had been harder to watch. She'd broken down on the stand, admitting her role in hiding the abuse. I thought I was protecting our family, she'd sobbed. But I was just protecting him while he hurt my baby. The trial had made headlines, not just for the abuse, but for how it was discovered. X-ray justice, the papers called it. Medical schools were already using my case to train doctors about spotting signs of abuse. Child protection agencies updated their protocols to include comprehensive imaging in suspected abuse cases. When it was my turn to give my victim impact statement, I stood slowly, facing the jury rather than Tom. For 3 years, I lived in fear. I began. Every day was a countdown to the next injury, the next lie, the next cover-up. But machines don't lie. X-rays don't make excuses. They simply show the truth, even when people refuse to see it. The jury took only 2 hours to reach their verdict, guilty on all counts. As the judge prepared to announce sentencing, Tom's attorney made one last plea for leniency. Your Honor, my client has no prior criminal record. No, the judge interrupted, holding up one of my X-rays. He just wasn't caught. 20 years with no possibility of parole for 15. The evidence of long-term abuse is literally written in the victim's bones. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered with their cameras and microphones. The case had sparked a national conversation about domestic violence and medical evidence. I'd received letters from other abuse survivors, many inspired to seek help after hearing my story. What would you say to other kids living in abusive homes? One reporter asked. I thought carefully before answering. Truth leaves marks, maybe not always visible ones, but they're there. And sometimes, it takes a machine to show what humans don't want to see. Don't stop trying to tell your truth. Mom had started working at a domestic violence shelter, using our story to help other families escape abuse. She'd learned to forgive herself, though the guilt still surfaced sometimes. Every x-ray was a cry for help, she told me once. I just didn't want to hear it until someone else showed me how to listen. Aunt Kate helped us find our own apartment near her house, close enough for support, but separate enough for independence. My new room had wide windows and no locks on the door. On the wall hung a framed x-ray, my last one, showing fully healed ribs. Why keep it? Mom had asked when I framed it. Because it's the one that saved us, I'd explained. It's not just a picture of broken bones. It's a picture of breaking free. Today, I'm starting my junior year of high school. The nightmares are less frequent now, thanks to therapy and time. I joined a support group for teenage survivors, where we talk about healing, both the physical and emotional kinds. Dr. Chen still checks on me occasionally. Last week, she invited me to speak to a group of medical students about recognizing signs of abuse. Your case changed protocols, she told me. Now we know better what to look for, what questions to ask, what lies might hide behind accidents and falls. The final x-ray still hangs on my wall, a reminder not of pain, but of liberation. Sometimes, late at night, I look at it and think about how something as simple as a machine seeing through flesh to bone changed everything. Tom had been right about one thing. No one would have believed just my word against his. But he never counted on science having my back. My ribs are strong now, fully healed and ready to support whatever comes next. Each breath is a reminder, I am free. I am safe. And my truth is finally seen, written in the unshakable evidence of my own bones.